You know that to build an audience online, you need to be pumping out lots of engaging content all the time. But it's hard. I do get it. You've got a business to run, but now you're also a content production manager as well. Over our many years of building a very successful home fragrance brand and amassing audiences of well over 100,000 people, we know what works. We know how to build audiences and we know how to produce content at scale easily. In the following slideshows, which I recorded as part of our live coaching in the Home Fragrance Academy Facebook group, I show you exactly how to do this. Have a watch and let me know what you think. Okay, so this is content production at scale. And what we're going to be covering today is the importance of content production, common challenges that people face when it comes to producing content, the types of content that works, the pillar content strategy, which is the main thing that I want to talk to you about, and then various ideas that you can create content around. So let's dive straight into it. So firstly, the importance of content production. Most of you will be a direct to consumer brand, and therefore you rely heavily on social media. All direct to consumer brands, well, I say all of them, most of them do rely on social media to attract an audience and to retain their existing customers as well, because it works very well at building customer loyalty. So it's incredibly important to be ever present on social media all the time, so your followers can keep up to date with what you're doing. But also, the more engagement you get on your posts, the more people that see them over time. So, and you have to bear in mind that if you've got, say, 1,000 followers, when you post something, only a very small number of those people will actually see it. So that's why it's important to keep posting as well, because then there's a more chance that more people will start to see them. It's typically free, other than your time. You can create content straight from your phone. These social media platforms are completely free as well, so use them. Why wouldn't you? It builds brand loyalty as well. As I just previously mentioned, when you have customers, a customer that's bought from you maybe once or twice, and they can see on your social media profile that you are constantly providing updates on what you're doing. You're giving them educational tips and tricks on how to use your products, or what works well where, and all that kind of stuff. It helps to really build that brand loyalty. They will feel very loyal to your company, especially if you start to show behind the scenes content of you working. You introduce yourself so they can see people behind the brand as well, because people do love to shop small these days, and it works very well at doing that. And also, most people are not very good at doing it. And what I mean by that is not necessarily the content that they produce, because actually it doesn't need to be polished. And in fact, it really shouldn't be polished. The content you produce and share on social media should actually be relatively raw. It should be just simple snaps or simple videos. That works better than most other polished content that you will see out there. And people are just not consistent. They're not very good at continuously producing this content. So that means that there's an opportunity there for you, because a lot of your competitors will struggle with this. So if you can be the one that really starts to create this content and reach a large audience, you'll progress further and grow your company quicker than them typically. So some of the common challenges that people face, these are the things that we hear a lot, is that you don't have time to create the content. Okay, you don't understand its significance. Why should you be creating all this stuff? You're not sure what type of content to create. There's all these different types you can do. Videos, there's carousels, there's all sorts of things, and you're not 100% sure what it is you should actually be creating, and therefore, because of all of this, you just end up not really creating much. You don't know how to create the content. You might not be able to edit videos. You might not know how to create reels on Instagram or any of that kind of stuff. And will people actually care about what you share? And also, you feel uncomfortable with being on camera. So these are all common challenges that people face. And if any of this sounds like you, then you're absolutely not alone. Okay, so These are things that people talk to us about all the time, or we see online. Specifically, the two that I see a lot of are, I don't have time to do this, and also I don't know why I should, as in I don't really understand the significance of doing it. Okay, but what's the alternative? Nobody will see your brand unless you're going to spend all of your time and money on paid advertising. Instead of doing that, you can create this content and start reaching an organic audience. Your competitors will start to outperform you because over time they will start to do this. Your business could fail because you're not progressing, and if you just sit there not doing anything, you're only going to go backwards. It's very difficult to just naturally grow when you're not sort of marketing and reaching out constantly to find these people, because your competitors will start to do that. And then if all of that happens, you'll be left with a what if feeling. What if I did actually start creating this content? What if I did start posting things on Instagram and Facebook every single day? You don't really want to be in that position. So let's try and avoid that, shall we? To achieve the things that we want in life, sometimes we have to do the uncomfortable things. So yes, whilst a lot of you will feel very uncomfortable, and it's not natural as well to pick up a camera and start talking to it to introduce yourself. You might have a bit of imposter syndrome. Why do people actually care about what you're talking about? But they do. And sometimes what is best is to just don't share it with anybody, but just actually record a video and just watch it yourself. Let your friends and family see it. Get them to give you some feedback. When we had Cozy Aromas, we did a lot of video content, and that was the first time we ever did it. We never did it before in previous businesses or anything like that. And Tamer especially was not very confident at all on camera. And if you go onto YouTube, onto the Cozy Aromas YouTube channel, and go way back to 2019, some of those videos on there, mine and Tamer is just horrendous. But they slowly get better over time, and that's fine because, and if you look at the comments on those videos, nobody's saying how boring and how rubbish it is. They're all really enjoying the fact that we're just showing behind the scenes. So try and get over that if you can, because it's incredibly important, and it's actually really easy as well. So then there's the type of content that actually works well, and these are all based on things that we currently do for Home Fragrance Academy, and also things that we've done previously for other clients, and of course for Cozy Aromas, Craft HQ and Wax Guide. So one thing to think about is the marketing landscape is always changing. It never stands still. There's always new toys to play with. There's always new algorithms and all this kind of thing. But there's one thing that always remains true, and it's that people love stories. So that's why the best type of content to create by far is storytelling types of content. And this doesn't mean it has to be in-depth life stories, huge articles, long videos, nothing like that. It can be snippets of what you've been up to. It could be during the day, during the week, whatever. You can introduce yourself and why you started your business. You can talk about individual products and fragrances. So let's say you have 10, 15, 20 fragrances in your business. You might even have a lot more than that. Each one of those you can create content around to explain why you chose that particular product, the benefits of it, all of that kind of stuff. So this is where you can really start to piece it, to break it down. And you're telling these people stories, but in just different formats. Share behind the scenes content. This is something that worked incredibly well for us at Cozy Aromas. Not only did we have our longer form weekly vlogs, which we just pieced together. We filmed on our phone and just pieced them together. They worked incredibly well. But we also did just photos and very short video clips that we would post on Instagram or Facebook or in our Facebook group. And people really love to see these. A day in the life works very well. I think it was last year. Yes, it was last year. We recorded a bunch of, for Cozy Aromas this was, a bunch of day in the life videos, which are on the Cozy Aromas Instagram page. And these work so well because people, your customers, your audience, they'll get to see behind the scenes of a company that they really enjoy buying products from. So, they are very interested in all this kind of stuff. And also, naturally people are nosy anyway, so they want to see what happens behind the scenes and they want to see where their products are made. Weekly roundups as well. We do this for the Home Fragrance Academy. So every week on Instagram we post a little carousel, which is just snaps that Tamer and I have taken throughout the week, just to give people a behind the scenes look at what we do. And when you do this type of content, you will typically find that it will get more engagement than your typical posts. Your typical posts about products or selling or anything like that, this type of content will, I can almost guarantee it will get more engagement. So you should definitely give it a go. And the types of content that works really well are Reels are best on Instagram. Because of the likes of TikTok and YouTube Shorts, it means that short form video is very, very popular now. So Instagram are really pushing that, and therefore Reels do work really well on Instagram. And a really good way of doing this is just to record a series of clips, piece them all together and remove the sound, but have a voiceover running throughout. And this is you recording a separate video voice file on your phone and then just placing it over the top, just explaining what it is you're getting up to in that video. And then make sure you have captions included as well. That, if you can create a weekly video, which is just short clips of what you've been doing during the week, with a voiceover guiding people through it and captions as well, that will perform very well for you. Carousels, they work second best on Instagram. And it's just a series of images or graphics. These can be customer photos, so user-generated content, which is photos that your customers share. If you have a Facebook group, then that should hopefully be full of user-generated photos. They haven't got to look beautiful, and they shouldn't look beautiful because they are real customer photos. You can share those with reviews as well. It all works very well. And then you've got simple images. These are very easy, obviously, because it's just one image, but they're the least performing. These can be images of products or images of you or your work environment. What you really want to do is create a range of these, is keep experimenting and testing, and then you will find the type of content that resonates with your audience based on the engagement levels, and then you just create more of that content. Simple as that, really. So now we're going to talk about how to actually create this content at scale. And this is the pillar content strategy. And if you've taken our business roadmap course, then actually I feature this within that course. So this won't be new to you, but it's such a good strategy. And a lot of people that I've spoken to about this didn't even think about it. So the idea is you can create lots of small pieces of content for social media from one large piece of content. So for example, you can write a blog post explaining 10 fragrances. It could be your first 10 that you launched. It could be 10 from a particular collection. Whatever it is, you write a blog post on that. That is your pillar piece of content. Then each 10 of those fragrances that you talk about can become an Instagram reel or a carousel post. Then each 10 of those can become a TikTok. So therefore, from one blog post, you have 20 additional pieces of content straight away. So you can see how that works. So I've got sort of more of a visual form of this now. So let's say you write a blog post, which is our top 10 summer fragrances. It's a lovely long blog post. You talk about each fragrance and give it a scent description, why you chose it, what you can use it for, whatever you want to do there. Show some pictures of it, all of that kind of good stuff. And then from that, each one of those fragrances you will turn into an Instagram reel. That will then become a TikTok. It will also become a YouTube short. Then each fragrance becomes one long form Facebook post. And what I mean by that is, what works really well on Facebook is actually long form content. So you'd have a few images there. This is one post. You'd have a few images, but the actual caption itself would be quite in depth, maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs long. It works very well. And then each post on Facebook becomes a a Facebook and Instagram story, which then links through to the Facebook post or links through to the actual blog post or the relevant product page. I hope this kind of makes sense really, but what I'm saying here is you've got one pillar piece of content, which is the blog. That's the thing that will take your time. That's the thing you have to put your real sort of thought into it. But once you've created that, look how easy it is when you break it up to create 50 additional pieces of content. So what I'm hoping you listening to this now is you're thinking about that blog post and what you could create. Maybe you have just recently launched your summer collection, or maybe you've got your autumn collection ready to launch. Think about how you can really break that up into all of these different pieces of content. When you do this, you can see that it won't take long to create a month's worth of content. You see what I mean? It's quite straightforward. So here are some different content ideas that you can actually create. I've already spoken about storytelling. That's one that I think you should absolutely do. You can do 2, 3, maybe 4 of those a week based on different subjects. And when you find one that really sticks, you can then recreate it in a different format and republish it in a few weeks' time and then see if that works. Once you create a piece of content, you don't just create it and forget about it. Create it, see what it's like, and then republish it again in a few weeks' time, but make some small tweaks to it. Scent spotlights. These are easy. These are really easy and they work well. So every week, feature a particular scent in your collection. Maybe offer a little discount or some kind of deal on that particular scent. Talk about the fragrance notes, why you chose it, all of that good stuff. And then you've got customer user-generated content, which will be photos and reviews from your Facebook group. Those things you can share. Any upcoming launches that you've got, talk about those. Create a Facebook event for that launch. Try and encourage people to join that event, because once they've joined the event, if you post in that event, those people are much more likely to see that content than they would from your normal Facebook page, because Facebook knows that they are interested in that event, so they'll want to show them more details about it. What's happening this month? So at the beginning of each month, you could do a little post, which is almost it's got key dates on there. So you can say that on certain days you're going live, you're doing a live shop, you've got this launching on this day, you've got this deal happening on this day, that kind of thing. Focus on engagement. So these are the types of posts like where you're encouraging engagement. You see a lot of this or that posts where people have to like, if they press the like button or they press the heart button, the heart reaction, depending on which they want to vote for. These simple types of posts that encourage engagement will only help, because the more people that engage with your posts, the more people that are going to see it. That's why when you look at this type of content that I'm sort of sharing here, you can see it's all stuff that people would typically engage with. Meet the team, very similar to the storytelling, but get to know the people that, whether that's yourself, it's your family. Something that works very well are pet posts as well. So if you have a dog, then take a photo and introduce your dog. That goes really well at getting engagement, especially if you ask people to share photos of their pets in the comments as well. Production time lapses. If you're having a morning of making products, set up your camera on your phone on a tripod in the corner and hit time lapse, and then share that. People love seeing that kind of stuff. Live order packing as well. So you can do this on your Facebook page or in a Facebook group. We did this on Black Friday last year, where we just went live, and it was on a tripod next to our packing station, and it was Jess at the time. She was simply packing orders up whilst talking to the camera and answering any questions. You might think that's incredibly boring. We thought it was incredibly boring, but the customers actually really liked it, because they would keep checking in to see how Jess was getting on, to see if their order was being packed, and just generally check in. And they really love that behind the scenes stuff. Educational content is always very good, telling people how to use certain products, but also things like what they can do with leftover products. So one of our most watched YouTube videos on the Cozy Aromas profile was things you can do with leftover wax, and it just gives people ideas. I think we did things like taping a bit to the inside of your bin lid to help that smell nice. I can't remember what they were, but there's all different types of things like that. So if you can create content that gives people ideas on what to do with leftover wax, or how to reuse a candle container, that kind of stuff, that will get quite a lot of engagement. But also that's the kind of stuff that could potentially go viral, especially if you create quite a short video for TikTok with some trending audio and some short clips, so it sort of cuts in and out of different clips quite quickly, because people like to see that has the potential to go viral. And then comedy or relatable posts. So you may have seen on the Home Fragrance Academy Instagram profile over the past 3 or 4 weeks, we've started to create a few more sort of meme type posts. That is sort of stuff that people engage with. That's sort of things that can sort of get shared quite a lot. So if you've got the capacity to do those, then absolutely do that as well. But what's key here? Consistency. That's the thing you need. You need to make sure you're consistent. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're creating, make sure you're doing it once or twice per day, every day. Don't sort of do it for a few days and then have a week off. You have to be at it all the time. What we do with Home Fragrance Academy, we did it last week, I think it was, is we test all of these things for you. So we had a few days last week where we didn't post anything, because we wanted to see what it would do to our account. And then when we started posting again, what happens? And what we found is when we started posting again, engagement rates are lower, because it takes a little while to build up. It's that momentum. You've got to keep that going. Don't forget your stories. Every single day you should be posting a story on Instagram and Facebook. These are the things that will keep your profile at the fore of people's attention. So when they go onto Instagram, they will see your little logo at the top. They'll click on that and watch your story. Try and make these stories interactive, have polls, have ask questions, all of that kind of stuff, because again, the more engagement, the more people will see. And you need to experiment and have fun with it. You have to enjoy this, because if in life, especially if you're creating your own business, you're doing this for a reason. You want to earn good money, but you want to have that freedom, and you want to do something you enjoy. So you have to enjoy this process, because it's going to be a key part of you growing your business. So if you're going to be doing this every day, then it has to be something you enjoy. Otherwise, what's the point? And you need to experiment. So what I mean by that is try different post formats, as I've mentioned in this presentation. See which one resonates with your audience, which one gets the most kind of engagement. You can do that simply by just scrolling through your feed and looking at the engagement, the likes and the comments. When you see one that sort of stands out from the rest, recreate it. Do it in a different way, use a different caption, recreate the video or the image. Keep doing that kind of stuff. And if you're still not sure, then you can get us to do it for you, because, cheeky plug time, yesterday we launched our Done For You service, whereby we're actually doing this for customers now, for HFA members, where we create all this content for you and we post it once or twice per day, depending on what package you want. And we create it in all of the top formats, and you're following all of the guidelines and everything that we've learned over the past 6 years for Cozy Aromas and our other brands, we are using for you. We have 2 clients that are signed up to that. If you are interested in us doing it for you, then please let me know in these comments, and we'll send you a link to the page where you can find out a bit more details about it. Or actually, in this Facebook group, there's a pinned post at the top which explains it. I hope that was useful for you.